Hey everybody, here we are 1 minute late. Sorry about that, everybody out there. It is the Game Audio Hour. Aren't you super excited? It's our weekly podcast where we discuss all things game audio, from creative ideas to the latest techniques, project experiences to audio secrets. Here's where you'll find in-depth coverage and opinions related to game audio. And the panelists this week, as always, I'd like to say hi to Alex, joining us from Japan, a father with number 2 born last week. Congratulations, Alex.
Cheers, thanks. Yes, I noticed that last week, because I was absent, you pulled in another tracker user, so I'm holding up the tracker corner here. Have the babies right over here. Very quiet, actually, so I think she must enjoy listening to us ramble about game audio.
A budding game audio person herself. And I'm going to fly over to North Carolina to say hi to Jack. What's up, Jack?
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm not saying buddy this week, if you've asked, because I said it like 8 times in my introduction last week. I've retired the word.
Oh, we'll see.
And with that, there's my good buddy Mike.
We could go with or colleague or comrade if you wanted to add a little bit of a Russian flair to it.
I like that. But Jack will get jealous because he's Comrade Jack.
Seth. Well, comrades have to learn to share, so I don't think he's in any position to claim ownership of the title. But good to be back. As
I could call you the most huggable Mike Shapiro. Is that fine?
There are a couple of Mike Shapiros, so I don't know if I could even claim that title. There's a lot of voiceovers. There's a couple of us out there, so we really have to put that to the test.
That's hilarious. You got out of that just nicely. And unfortunately, Vince isn't going to be with us this week. He is crunching like crazy. He was trying to get in right at the last minute, but he's just swamped. So we miss you, Vince. Hope to see you next week, but we totally understand. So the topics this week are going to be our DAW templates for the work that we do, some of it being orchestral, some of it being tracker, some of it being all over the place. And then after that, if we have some time left, we want to talk about distributed DAW systems, like in the old days. Well, not even the old days. I apologize. I say that prejudiciously because I have stepped up to putting everything on one machine. But I myself had to have multiple machines to get things to run, and people are still doing that because they probably have better systems than me. So I'm anxious to talk about that one too, and how people have set up multiple machines to get them to work together to create the work that they're doing. But hey, Alex, do you want to kick off the templates since you're coming from the tracker side? Because I think it'd be really interesting to see your template, and also the explanation that will go into it might take a little bit more time because I'm a bit of a numbskull when it comes to these things.
Certainly. Well, actually, I need to apologize that I can't actually get screen share working over here. So ahead of time, we've prepared a few screenshots, and Kyla's going to throw them up. I guess you're going to vomit them up on the screen for me.
It's black.
Can you make it so that it stays on your screen so that people can look at that while I'm talking?
Done.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll get rid of that
fluorescent green background there.
Isn't that nice? Yeah, you're welcome. Hold on. I'll get rid of that.
All right.
Is that everything? Awesome.
Yeah. Everybody seeing that okay? All right. So basically, my base template for working on music looks just like this, except minus all the note data. So this is Renoise, and this is the main tracker view. And as you can see, along the top, horizontally along the top, there's a spectrum analyzer, which is part of Renoise's setup, which I love. Makes it's wonderful for sound design, having that always there. There's a phase scope right next to it. All of that stuff is, I mean, you can turn it off. It's not. It's kind of decoration, really. But when you're doing sound design and also mixing, it's really useful just to always have that up there. And we can argue about whether or not it's good to mix with your eyes or mix with your ears later. Next along the top, you'll see there's a list of instruments. So what you do in Renoise is you set up an instrument. As you can see, you probably can't read it, but I like to name my instruments rather facetiously. So I have
Big ass
I don't know.
comb bass.
Big ass comb bass, and you've got a poly unsaturated fat brass lead. Also,
Unicorns. There's always
unicorns.
unicorns.
Gotta have unicorns. I couldn't really think of anything better when naming that one. Underneath there now on the left-hand side, this is the arrange view that Ian was talking about way back in our tracker episode. So this gives a sort of a macro view of the whole song. Unlike a traditional horizontal door, this one scrolls vertically. So you can actually name the sections. You can see I've got silence, intro. The silence at the start and the end is for the mastering engineer. So I just add in a few bars of silence for when I'm exporting this to send out to master. Intro, appetizer, build up, the big boom, and then silence at the end again. Renoise will actually allow you to clone some of these sections so that you can just have one master section which is just cloned in different places across the whole song. There's a little bit of automation in there that you can see, the little mark there showing that there's automation inside that pattern. You can also actually name each one of these patterns, but as you can see, generally for other tracker users out there, I don't tend to repeat patterns very much. If you look down the side, there's numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Each one of those numbers is a discrete pattern that you can repeat just by calling that number again. So instead of one... Sorry, go ahead.
Where's that part? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10?
See in the right on the left-hand side going down, there's orange squares with numbers inside them.
These right here?
Not seeing them.
Nah, you're slowing down for me. Don't worry about it. I'll find them while you talk.
Hey,
Okay.
Kyle, I'm seeing Alex's face rather than his template. Do we know that his template is visible?
I'm seeing the template. Let me switch to Alex's face and then back to the template again. You seeing it?
Yeah. All right. The people I'm seeing Alex. Well, now I see the template. The people in the forum are seeing the template, so it's all good.
Okay, good. Yeah, and let me know because I can't see the forum right now.
Okay. Anyway, so moving along to the more interesting stuff. The tracker data is all in the middle there. I like to group them all by color just to make it easy to see. And you can see, just like in Reaper and recently in Logic, where they have these track stacks, Renoise has had that for a while too, where you can just basically group tracks together. So we've got a drum group, a bass group, strings, arpeggio, lead, few sound effects. Master is in white, and then an auxiliary sound right on the end, which is reverb.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, so let's go on to the next. If you could pull up the next screenshot, this is probably more interesting to people than this one.
Up. I got to find my mouse. Mouse?
So this is the. There we go.
Hot green. Hold on. Get it lined up here properly. Go away, green.
Look at that green.
There you go.
Okay. So this is the mixer view, and this shows all of the plugins that I generally use. So the reason I've got this instead of showing you an empty template is because this is pretty much most of the things that I use. There's a dash of PSP in there. There's a sprinkling of Sonomus Sweet Tone. There's a modicum of DMG Audio's E-Quick for EQ. I use Valhalla Room from Valhalla DSP for the reverb. And what else we have? There's a lot of Renoise fancy stuff going on here as well. You can see that Renoise doesn't actually do side chaining the way that others do, where you actually have a compressor with a side chain feature. Instead, Renoise has what you call a signal send plugin, where you actually, if you look on the drum group, on the drum group, the group plugins, there's a ducker, 2 strings, and a ducker, 2 BS. So basically, not a ducker to bullshit. That's actually a ducker to the bass group. So what happens is the Renoise will actually take the signal coming out of coming along that channel and take the amplitude and produce an envelope from that amplitude, and then you can actually assign that amplitude to control absolutely anything else. So unlike other DAWs where sidechaining is a feature of the compressor, in Renoise, sidechaining is actually a plugin which you can send the envelope data produced from amplitude to wherever you want. So in this case, ducker to STR is actually ducking the strings with the drums. So if you look down the STR strip there, you'll see the BD ducker. That's just a gain plugin that's just being pulled down whenever the amplitude from the drum group goes up. And same also for the BS, for the bullshit. That goes to the bass, and it's actually ducking the bass down, again with the gain plugin. But the cool thing with Renoise is that you don't actually have to use a gain to sidechain with volume. I'm not sure I'm doing it in this song, but in other cases you can actually assign the ducker to the signal follower to actually pull or shift frequencies of an equalizer instead. So one thing, that instead of ducking volume down, you can actually duck out a frequency. So you could pull out a slot of frequency in, say, a long bass sort of pad sound. You could actually drop out a section of the frequency where the bass drum will punch through. So instead of pulling down amplitude, you're pulling out frequencies instead. So that's just a really neat feature, that having this side chaining not being a feature of the compressor, but actually being a feature of a signal following plugin, is something that allows you.
So where are your drum samples?
I don't use drum samples because it's all synthesized.
Oh, okay.
The last instrument there says drums and percussion lurk here. That's actually Sonic Charge's Microtonic in this case.
Oh, okay.
Microtonic is a drum synthesizer. I use Microtonic, and also recently I purchased Audio Spillage's Drum Spillage, which is an amazing, amazing drum synth.
That's cool. So you plug in the VST and then you plot your notes assigned to those different instruments within that VST for bass drum and stuff. Does that work like MIDI channels, where your notes are in one track are going to MIDI channel 1 for the bass drum, and notes in another track are going to MIDI channel 2 for the snare, or anything like that?
That's exactly right. So Microtonic will allow you to actually set multiple outputs from the plugin, and so in this case, Microtonic is sending its first channel and second channel for the drum synths, because it has 8 drum synthesizers inside the one plugin. They're going to the BD and the SN channels there inside the drum group.
Gotcha.
So,
wow.
Yeah,
So this is kind of a puzzle for the mind. These things kind of like layer back on each other.
Yeah. So this whole file that you're looking at is about 200K.
Oh, wow.
There's no samples here. It's all basically, it's just saving the settings of all of the synthesizers that I have there. So I've got Native Instruments FM8 and Yuhi's Zebra. Those are the main synths that this song is running.
Wow, that's cool.
There you go.
Oh, I see the orange things on the side with 0 through 10.
Yeah. So if I wanted to repeat a pattern instead of actually just having it a linear progression, I could just say, instead of 0, 1, 2, 3, I could actually say 0, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, like that. And that would just repeat the pattern.
Gotcha. Wow, this is really cool.
So this, in true sort of old school demo scene style, Renoise allows you to define your own color palette very, very easily. So this is my midnight tracking, very 90s demo scene color scheme I have here.
I like it. Oh, Mike, is that you?
That's not
That's me. Don't worry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, hey guys, you got any questions to add to this? And I can't see the chat room. Does the chat room have anything they want us to ask?
Nothing in the chat room.
All righty, cool. Well, Alex, man, thanks for all this information.
There you go. So that's my template. Basically, just looks like this minus all of the plugins and all the note data.
That's fantastic. Well, hey, I say we go to North Carolina because I want to know more about Reaper as well.
All right. Well, so let me bring that up. While I'm bringing it up, I'll say so for music, I use Logic and Ableton, and I don't really have templates for those. Okay, so you should see my screen now. I have Reaper up. So yeah, I don't really use templates for music. I just kind of open Ableton, and Ableton has like 4 MIDI, 4 audio, and that gets me going. And then when you start a new project in Logic 10, it asks you how many tracks you want to start with, and so I usually say 8 or so software instruments, and then go from there. But so what I usually do in Reaper, this is a project that already has some stuff in it, but imagine this template, imagine this project with no words, and that's pretty much a template. Is I have probably about 10 of these parent tracks with 4 child tracks each. So each of these parents has an effect on it. It has a repitch, alloy, and PSP vintage warmer. But more and more recently, I've been turning off vintage warmer and repitch and just using alloy for my limiter and my dynamics, my compressor, because vintage warmer colors it a bit more than some of the sounds I've been using recently. But yeah, so I pretty much what I do is each one of these groups here, this parent with children in it, I layer sounds inside the children. So I'll show you one down here at the bottom. So this project is all of the sounds that are in I'm making for Lemma, which is the first-person parkour game. And so I like to put all of the sounds in one project so it's easy to reference. And Reaper can handle it. Like this currently has 161 tracks in it, and it loads just fine. But so for example, I have this player slide sound, which if I play it, you're not gonna be able to hear it. But in like a normal bus situation, all these 4 tracks are routing into this big parent track right here. So all those 4 tracks are getting the vintage warmer, the alloy, and the repitch, although both the alloy and the repitch don't have anything going on. And in addition, they each have their own set of effects on them. In this one, I recorded these sounds specifically for this sound effect, so I didn't have to do too much processing to it. But yeah, so pretty much that's my template, is just a bunch of parent tracks with a bunch of children tracks inside. I probably have a cool one I can show you. Yeah, and sometimes I'll also do variations within one sound effect. So for UI click 1, I made 2 different UI clicks and named one A and one B. So then when I exported these out, I called one UI O1A and then UI click O1B. And then I know where both of them are because they're both in the click. So I could even go as further as having this be a parent as well, and this be the child, but then I could also child this to that, and a bunch of craziness like that. You can get pretty deep with how far you do that, but I don't really, because I don't care to. But yeah, so that's pretty much how I do sound effects. I don't know if that's a thing, if I'm making crap up. Oh yeah, here's the other one, I think. And for the player slide, I did do child in a child. So you have, this is a player slide sound, and so these 2 guys here are one sound, and then these 2 guys here are a variation. Oh, and I even had 3 of them, sorry. So yeah, I put all 3 in there. I usually don't go that deep. I usually don't child twice like that, but I thought I'd give it a shot. And then I also have a key command set up to change the color, so that way I can make sure each sound is visually distinct from the one above or below it. And also, if I do variations, I try to make them similar colors, like a green and a light green or a dark green. I don't really do any hardcore routing with like mixers or stuff because I don't really need to with the sound effects, since this is kind of acting like a bus in itself. And yeah, that's pretty much how I set up my sound effects in Reaper.
Man, that is... You got a lot going on there.
Oh, if I opened up Stella, it would actually take probably about 2 minutes to load the entire project. So.
Oh wow!
Can we have a look at Can we have a look at one of your music files, like actually a song?
Yeah. Let me load up Ableton. If I can find Ableton, there's Ableton. So yeah, like I said, in Ableton, I don't do as much, and let me close Reaper so it doesn't get crazy. I don't do as much template because, like as you can see, it starts out live starts out with the default track of 4 audio and 4 MIDI, which usually work for me. I usually delete about 3 of the audio and then add a bunch more MIDI. Oh, what should I open? What should I open? Okay, so this one will take a second because I got a bunch of contact instruments in it. But so this is a track I'm working on for Nova 111. And so the cool thing with this one is, I don't know, see, there's like a little red box moving around the screen. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah. What are you using?
That's my launch pad
Launch
that
pad.
I have to my right. And so I kind of build the projects around the launch pad, being able to easily see everything. So how this one works is each line is a section. So this would be, section A, and the next part section B. And how best to explain this? I've never had to explain this to anyone. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, for example, this one has an arpeggiator, a bass, a second bass, and then all the drums are over here. So pretty much this bass will play through all of these until you get to an empty section, which is only there for my reference, and then you would move on to the next section, and then that arpeggiator would kick in. But this arpeggiator is actually, visually, that would make how it actually be, is that arpeggiator would be covering all of those areas, but I didn't want to have that in all there. But this is pretty much how I work, is in the clip view and horizontally set up the different sections of how it would work, and then I don't really use the arrange view as much. I only use the arrange view when I record things that I've performed with the Launchpad in clip view, and then I export them out. If you've got just a second, let me see if I can open up another Nova track, and which might be completely different. But yeah, as far as in Logic, I think Mike's going to talk about this a little bit, but I don't use templates there either. I usually just use the channel strips. I just open up a default track and use crazy channel strips. Okay, so yeah, this one is different because how Nova is set up as far as the music is concerned, it's all in layers. So for this one, it's pretty much the top line is everything. Okay. And then anything below it is variations. So, and there's different colors. So, for example, the first three are teal, which that's layer 1, that's always going to be playing. The second layer is red, that's layer 2, that'll play when there's one enemy on the screen. And then the light green, more teal, or light teal, I guess, is layer 3. It was layer 2 or 3. It's layer 3, which will play when there are multiple enemies on the screen. So yeah, this one's a bit. This one isn't as set up as horizontally, or I'm sorry, it's not as set up as vertically as the other one. The other one had vertical sections because that's supposed to be a more linear track, whereas this one, it's pretty much just one big loop that's going to have layers added to it. So
yeah, I can see how this. Last week you were mentioning that one of your most desired features for audio middleware was live, and I can sort of see how having your music laid out like that would make it really, really super easy to shift all that layering directly into Wise or Fmod for use in the game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's actually kind of a big pain in the ass to export all of these individual sections for like something like Fmod or Wise, but
why is that? Why is it difficult?
Just you have to,
Aren't there macros that could do that for you, or are there any automated features that could do that, or do you have to go through it individually?
For how I pretty much to tell you if there's a better way, Kyle, but I pretty much so for something like this, I would solo say the first FM8. I would play each of those sections, however long they are, 8 measures, and then I would come in here. I would select those 8 measures and then bounce that out, then move on to the next 8 measures, bounce that out. That's pretty much how I would know to export all of these sections to Wave.
Right.
I think we lost Kyle.
I think we did.
Kyle's frozen. I think he said something in chat, did he?
Is everybody still with us?
I'm here.
Period of anarchy.
Well, should we go on? Should we go on to Michael?
Yeah, Michael. Let me. Yeah. Well, I'm still focused, so I guess we gotta wait till. So if we have just a second before Kyle comes back, let me randomly pick another one and see if it looks different.
I'm just going to check if everybody's still. Okay. Yeah, we're still live, so we're good.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to show this one. This one's dumb. Let me find another one.
Whoa, what is that down the bottom with the? Looks like a big propeller.
So this is a Euclidean. It's just a Max for Live plugin made by somebody. It's a Euclidean synthesizer.
Wow. Okay.
Which is really cool. But it doesn't really work properly, so it's not as cool. But yeah, so you can pretty much make any number of parts you want, and then you can set however many pulses. And unfortunately, I can't play it for you, so you can't hear it. But so you can kind of see, as I'm moving the numbers around, it's changing how the circle works, which is kind of a visual representation of when things will line up with each other.
Hmm.
And so that's pumped into, in this case, it's pumped into Contact, but I usually pump it into Battery. Yeah, this is pumped into some bongos right now, which...
I see. There's a plugin by Audio Damage called Axon, which sort of uses a similar idea of this kind of procedurally generated MIDI signals that you can just pump out to whatever you want.
So we lost Kyle, but like, how can we invite him to the thingy, or because he made this? Does somebody need to invite Kyle back to the Hangout?
We are leaderless.
This podcast is now going to be about cars.
Anyway, the show must go on.
Are we locked onto Jack's DAW, or are we seeing other faces as well?
Let's ask the audience.
Because if we switch it back to my face, it's just going to be my face, which isn't ideal.
This episode may not make our greatest hits channel.
Well, we're up to, what, 15 or something? So I think we're okay. We can make mistakes.
So we don't have any way to switch back to myself or Alex. Is that the case? We're kind of stuck?
Well,
can you draw a picture of us and just put that on your screen?
Well, I could do this.
It's going to create a feedback loop.
Okay, everybody says they're only seeing your screen, Jack. Whoa! Feedback.
I feel sorry for anybody listening to the audio version of this podcast. Well, if you can bear the disparate visuals, I actually didn't have anything to show. I was going to describe my setup. So I can go ahead. It'll just be weird to be looking at Jack's DAW screen while listening to me. But there's no reason I can't do it because I didn't have any screenshots or anything like that. So
go for it.
I can just charge ahead. This is really weird. I'm staring at myself in the past. This is very Doctor Who. All right, well, I'll give this a shot. We'll see if this works. And I'm going to hope that UPS does not ring my doorbell in the middle of this. So as Jack mentioned, I use Logic. Pretty much music most of the time or all the time. I don't have a template per se. What I use, as Jack hinted, is primarily the Logic channel strip system. And the way that it works is a channel strip is essentially a preset, but it saves more than the instrument plugin. It'll also save aspects of whatever else you have on the channel strip. So if you've got plugins, if you've got compression, EQ, whatever, that's all saved along with the setting for the instrument. Logic does have a separate data structure just for instrument settings, but typically it's easier to use the channel strips. So I treat channel strips as essentially a preset, and given that a lot of what I do is orchestral music or pretend orchestral music, that makes use of very large sample libraries. It doesn't really behove me to have a lot of stuff memory resident in a template when I load up Logic, because otherwise I'd be waiting 5 to 10 minutes for massive string libraries, and I might not even use them, and then there's a big memory toll. So what I tend to do is document my libraries by making channel strips for just about every sound. When I get a new library, I go through it patch by patch, and I'll save a completely separate channel strip for everything. And what's nice about channel strips is you can organize them into folders. So you can, if you've got, let's say, a string library, you can say short articulations folder, long articulations folder, et cetera, effects, tremolo. And when you open Logic's library screen, you can then browse all your channel strips, which are organized in whatever folders that you like. It's basically just looking at the file system. So any kind of folder or subfolder structure you like, Logic will see that. And it gives me quick access to whatever instruments I need. So I know where all my strings are, I have them divided up by libraries, and I have a pretty good working memory of all my libraries. So if I need, say, an oboe, I know where I'm keeping the woodwinds, and I'll drill down maybe 1 or 2 stops, and I'll just call them up quickly. And the advantage of this is I don't have to deal with different interfaces for different plugins. Like I don't have to load up Play and then dig through the Play browser and then dig through all their libraries and then maybe load up Contact and then look for another preset that way. Everything has one uniform interface, and it's just built into Logic's window. So it's very fast, and it's ergonomic, and I don't even have to care